So in this section, let us look at the mistake log. And this is one thing that changed everything for me. If ever you want to pass PMP, make sure you always create and update this mistake log. So let us go through the mistake log. What are we trying to achieve when we are going through this mistake log? I can tell you this thing is very important. It will change everything for you. You need to check where you are making mistakes. So the first is you need to question the theme. Okay. Are you looking at conflict management, or is it risk domain, or is it something to do with change management, or it has something to do with agile team, or is it procurement? So question theme is very important. So when you make mistakes, when you don't answer some of these questions properly, you need to go back to your mistake log and try to see whether the theme was to do with conflict management, or it was to do with risk, probably even quality, or even stakeholder management. It could be even about integration, about change, about procurement. So this is also very important. Probably it's to do with agile team or even predictive management. So you need to make sure that in your mistake log, you are able to classify the theme of the question into specific categories that you might have. Then you also need to understand why I chose the wrong answer. This is very important. When you practice your PMP, you need to understand why you're making mistakes. You need to understand why a wrong answer was chosen by you. You need to understand what mistakes were you actually making, which theme were you supposed to use, which domain were you supposed to use. If it's a process group, which process group were you supposed to use? If it's a process, which process were you supposed to use? If it's an ITTOs, which inputs or which tools, which techniques, which outputs were you supposed to use? So you also need to understand why you choose the wrong answer. Okay. Then also, what is the correct PMP mindset? This is very important. Okay. You need to understand what was the mindset. Almost close to 8% of your questions are going to get in PMP. It's all about you being able to link it to a specific mindset for you to be able to answer that question. Like I said earlier, we are going to cover the mindset principles or points in the coming slides. So when you get any specific question, you get it wrong, record it in your mistake log. After recording it in your mistake log, try to understand which mindset, which PMP mindset were you supposed to apply for you to get that question correct. So the more you practice on that, the more you start getting the answers correct. Then also look at what trigger words did you miss. You're going to see as we go through some practice questions in terms of trigger words. For example, it could, the question might be, what is the project manager supposed to do next? What is the project manager supposed to do first? So the trigger words could be something to do with, say for example, assess, reevaluate, meet with the team, and so on and so forth. So you must make sure that you understand the trigger words that you missed in that question. Then you need the rule to remember next time. Okay? What is it that you are going to use to remember next time you get a similar question that you got wrong? So it's very important that you also understand this. So in a nutshell, a mistake log is one of the very important documents you should have. Okay? Remember, you create this, you customize it based on how you are practicing your questions. But it's a very important document that you should have when you are studying for PMP. And I can tell you, once you get your mistake log updated, you revisit, you correct the mistakes, you're most likely going to pass your PMP exam on the first attempt.